Hi Kiwi, and welcome back to another episode of Hades 1.
All right.
This is our mirror setup for the day. I'm feeling super casual after completing all those high heat challenges and flubbing that AFK run. I think we're gonna just do a nice simple run. I haven't done anything with mods yet. I haven't had the time around work, but we're gonna be taking the aspect of chaos. We're gonna take the Poseidon keepsake and build around the special, and I'm gonna try and fill in the last bit of codex. We have a couple of Chthonic keepsakes and more Erebus gates that we need to unlock to fill out that codex. We also need the rarest fish that we can get from Chaos's realm as well. We're gonna go for 60% jury summons, 3 levels of extreme measures, maxing out benefits package, middle management, forced overtime, damage control, and 1 level of tight deadline for a casual 25 heat.
Again.
I could probably do 32 heat, but I don't want to.
Speak not to me of failure. Failure is the greatest instructor of all. Your existence is a sequence of mistakes. Avoid making the same one twice.
25 heat felt like a nice sweet spot of enough spice to make the run interesting, but also enough to keep it super casual at the same time and not affect the build path.
No more dallying about now, little nephew. Time instead, we really got somewhere.
So in typical fashion with the aspect of chaos, we would have loved to see Poseidon special. We did not get it. Do I reroll here? I may as well, since that was kind of the whole build. Okay. A nice rare tier special is quite great for us, frankly, so I'm happy to see that. So the aspect of chaos, you charge up your attack to do a bull rush, and then your special gets enhanced and throws 5 shields instead of 1. We're gonna hope to see Sea Storm, of course. Any Poseidon build benefits greatly from building around Sea Storm. And then, of course, probably the other big thing that would really help the build early on is getting Razor Shoals to get Poseidon's curse applied to enemies sooner than later. I do think Poseidon Moons benefit from kind of the slower, heavier hitting weapons because they do more knockback. I may be mistaken about this, but it feels like knockback scales with the amount of damage a move does. So we're not really knocking enemies away very hard with the special alone. Hopefully, though, with time we'll be able to get Poseidon's Legendary, which would be really nice to get the second knockback effect. So far, I'm feeling that this may not be the strongest build in terms of early game potential, especially, and forced overtime with witches is not particularly fun to contend with, but we'll make it work. That's why I only took 1 level of tight deadline, because I didn't know how fast or slow this build would be, and I had a feeling with the Chaos Shield it's going to be slow. Like, Chaos Shield kind of falls into a similar category as how I view Chiron, the aspect of Chiron. It simultaneously is a really safe and effective weapon for higher heat runs, but I honestly, unlike Chiron, I think I've kind of fallen out of favor with Chaos as the more I've played. It might just be in part that I'm misplaying it. I feel like for single target damage, it really falls off, and that makes it really unreliable against bosses. Like, look at this guy. Even if I get point blank and try to hit him with all the hits, well, 229 is not bad, actually. It doesn't feel as strong as I would hope it to. Dionysus isn't really my first choice for a god on this build, but he's not one of my worst options. I'll probably take him and then maybe build around Scintillating Feast since we're planning around going to Zeus anyway. That seems reasonable. I do fear that my attack does more DPS right now than my special, sadly, which very well may be the case until we can get some better boons going or some tier 2s with Poseidon. At the very least, again, I think we need a little help from Zeus to really spice up the run. But it's not the first time we've had a slow early game to get a really kind of wild late game. So we'll see where this run takes us. In the meantime, well, let's talk to Dionysus first.
Hey, have I got just the thing for this particular occasion, man?
Let's see. We do not get Trippy Shot, but Premium Vintage to get a level on our special. I'm not going to complain about that. Let's see. Nothing I want from the shop, and another level on the special. So basically, we're not getting palms per se, but we're getting indirectly palms anyway. A Chaos Gate. So I will basically my goal for this run is I'm going to try and take as many Chaos Gates and as many Erebus Gates especially as possible, because I think I need to do 16 more Erebus Gates before the Codex entry is entirely filled. We need to use Antos a total of 5 times, which should be accomplishable during this run. And then I think we need to use Dusa's Keepsake 1 more time, and we need to use, was it Thanatos' Thanatos' Keepsake once more, and then we'll have a full Codex. We'll have completely complete the Codex. And I did promise Kiwi that I would have 1 episode devoted to just entirely reading the Codex entries. So that may happen sometime in the coming episodes, but it's certainly going to be one of the more lackluster episodes. I imagine not many people are going to be interested in someone just reading out loud an entire codex. So we'll probably do it on a non-Hades day. As much as I'd love to take that Dionysus Gate, like I said, I need to force Chaoses to try and find my fish that's missing. Doesn't look like we got one on this room.
Your path is yours to shape as you see fit, regardless of the fate's design. Together we may twist that path a bit, if you would like.
Special damage probably won't do so much because we're really depending on Poseidon's special to do the work, but I suppose it's really our best option here, so I'll take it. Dash range minus 35% is a little bit rough, but on the shield it's not that punishing because you can use your you can hold your shield to block damage.
That's who I think it is. In case words of encouragement are not enough, have one of these here, Prince.
Thanks, Sisyphus. All right, we'll take the coin because we always want to buy more things from the shop. And Boldy, let's see if you give us special
Any
today.
advice for me on this occasion, Boldy?
Let's
You
see.
two have a real thing going.
Ambiguity. All right, but here's a high tier Poseidon. Very happy to see that because, I mean, there are a number of Poseidon boons we're going to be looking for. Honestly, frankly, just getting Breaking Wave to do more damage against bosses isn't the worst thing right now. But I think Razor Shoals will be our best DPS overall for everything. Because Razor Shoals does a surprising amount of damage in my book, at least as far as I can tell. So I don't actually have like a DPS calculator that I could corroborate that feeling on. But it certainly gives the vibe of doing a lot of damage. And sometimes vibes-based gameplay is worth it. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, so that's kind of our immediate plan. As far as what mods I'm looking at, I guess I can talk about that. The Climb of Sisyphus is probably the biggest one I'm looking for, or for trying, which is still nothing we want from Poseidon exactly. Ocean's Bounty, we're going to be getting coin, and without Underworld Customs or new convenience fee, just falls off pretty hard. An epic tier Razor Shoals, and I mistook Breaking Wave for whatever the actual Wave Pounding, that's it, Wave Pounding. I mixed it up with Wave Pounding, but we're going to take Razor Shoals here. An epic tier Razor Shoals sounds amazing, and again, I would love to take that hammer, but we got to go for this Erebus Gate. I need to complete a lot of Erebus Gates, so we're going to take them every time we see them right now.
Let's see you put your youthful reflexes to work.
The real question is, can I complete this without taking damage when I have a significant reduction on my dash range? And we have enemies that pop damage control, but I guess damage control isn't as threatening when you have Razor Shoals going, so that's good at least. These Void Stones, though, are a bit of a problem. If I'm not careful, they'll easily pop my shield in a single hit. And with Forced Overtime on, their lasers come out fairly quick, so I need to be ideally killing them first, which we have succeeded in. Numbskulls I can probably kite out. There we go. Just gonna try and get Razor Shoals on these guys. Like, look at that. They are melting to Razor Shoals. I maintain Razor Shoals does a ton of damage. Okay. Mid shop. Let's go for the mid shop. We can afford a boon. We'll want that. What have we got here? Dionysus round 2. Well, I'll take that, sure.
I'll take it.
Attack. Oh, Trippy Shot. Perfect. So like I said, we're probably gonna build around Scintillating Feast to a degree, so we'll take Trippy Shot. And then HP versus a Charon fight. Honestly, I'm feeling Charon.
Won't mind, will he?
A little bit of a delay there. I mean, the HP, rather, the Charon shot, the Charon here pretty much guarantees that we will be able to make as much money as we need to pretty much buy out the stick shop. So I'm all for it here. I'm going to take some heavy hits, and I might lose a Death Defiance, but I'm generally okay with that, frankly. Because if I hold my shield every time I think Charon's going to come and do an attack, I can just block his damage, frankly. It blocks his projectiles as well, I believe. I'm not going to test this theory. I was just getting ready for some sort of attack I couldn't block. He's being fairly kind with his patterns. Now he's not. Yep, I accidentally double dashed. I should have just dashed once. So, I guess, anyway, I have plenty of things to talk about. So, work is in full force, as I think was implied earlier in the video. And certainly that's going to be keeping me busy, so my more creative projects, my more intense projects are likely going to have to fall to the wayside. I'm still planning on, oh right, modding. Let's talk about the mods. Let's talk about the mods. That's more interesting than me rambling about work. Certainly since Kiwi kind of prefers if I don't talk about it too much. So, I'll save my, I think I'll save my Chthonic Keepsake for his second phase if I can. Oh, shoot. we have like next to no DPS at all whatsoever. That does make this fight a bit rougher. In theory, I could very much kite him out. I don't want to, though. Anyway, so Climb of Sisyphus is the big one. It's basically Hades' equivalent of an endless mode, and it looks really fun. You can basically stack boons and stack hammers almost effectively endlessly, which looks for a lot of silly chaos to ensue, which on its own looks fun. The enemies also get scaled infinitely, so they become increasingly more difficult, so I'd probably start it on a 32 heat run. But I'm figuring like weapons that would be really fun with that, absolutely the rail and the bow, because they just have so many incredible, so many incredible hammer options. I am losing a lot of time to this Charon fight. It is a slow one. I'm not looking forward to our mini boss or our boss fight with the Furies. We're gonna have like next to no damage to kill them. But Charon chunks. The Furies do not. Oh, I might be a little early on this. Come on, drop your shield. Perfect. Cool. All right. If I can just DPS him fast enough. I couldn't, but there we go. Okay. Well, at least that final phase was clean. Everything else about it was not.
Chaos has a new effect.
Rough fight. Very rough fight. It's fine, though. Like, again, we have the shield. We're relatively safe. Unfortunately, we rolled into a non-shop room for our final room. Oh, well. More damage on the special sounds kind of middling. Maybe I put it into Razor Shoals, honestly. I don't know. Trippy Shot's not bad, but... the base damage on our special is just too lackluster. Oh, I heard a fish. Oh, well. From boss fight into boss fight, and we got Tisiphone, who's the slowest of the bosses, but not necessarily the hardest. She trades off speed for being relatively easy. I'd say Mega's definitely the easiest of the three Furies, and Alecto is easily the hardest. But she's very mobile, which does lend itself well for this build where we want her to move as much as possible to get damage from Razor Shoals. Anyway, where was I? So, the Climb of Sisyphus and Endless Mode, that sounds really fun. There's an interesting mod that I might try out once or twice that is, Hades is replaced by a clone of Zagreus. And that clone of Zagreus has whatever boons you had on your previous run. So you basically, if your previous one was really stacked, you're going to be fighting against that really stacked run, which sounds objectively terrifying, honestly, but also really fun in a way. So that's certainly, I feel like that would be kind of crazy to combine with the Climb of Sisyphus. The issue is I don't know what is and is not, able to be, what mods can stack, because if I do too many mods at once, I'm likely at the risk of crashing something. But that is definitely up there. Obviously, the simplest mod that I think is the most has the most potential for like just kind of setting up a fun run is.
You'll have more difficulties up in Asphodel.
Moving on.
Is the
Hold power.
I don't know its name, but basically it makes it so you're guaranteed to get whatever first boon or hammer you want. So it lets you plan your builds a little bit more accordingly. So like if I wanted to really make sure that my AFK run went well, I could use it to force a high tier Curse of Vengeance and then start with a Palm Blossom. I'm going to try and avoid doing that. I might check a seed or two, but I don't think I'll use a mod to get that to happen. Generally, I don't check seeds. Occasionally I do if there's like a very gimmicky build I want to try. And if I don't get the seed, then I just try something else in the meantime. But most of this run has been largely unseeded. I have no way of proving that since I do not show a death prior to the run, but I like keeping my win streak going. Generally what I do is I do a copy of my save file, and then in that copy I go into the room and see what our first boon is. Again, I've used it as sparingly as possible because I don't want to delegitimize the nature of this run. I'm realizing that we do not have Underworld Custom, so I do not need to sell anything here. Anyway, but yeah, I obviously for the 32 heat run I tried to avoid. I effectively did not do that, aside from if you want to count them the practice runs I did on a separate save file, which was I did use a copy of the save file, so one could argue that that is the case. But it was with the intent of genuinely just practicing mechanics, and I only did that for the Hades Spear and the aspect of Nemesis, just so that I could practice and learn how to play the sword properly, because I was just getting really frustrated by the fact that I had to depend on cast to carry a run. And I mean, that's what I really like about Hades, is just that there are so many build paths, so many weapon options, so much variability. I do believe that the keepsakes are a brilliant system to make it more consistent for what kind of run you want to have, but they do have a detriment to player creativity sometimes, because they...
I wish you well in your continued quest, and offer my sincerest blessings, and of course my power there, nephew.
They can entice people who find a build that really works for them to just lock into that build and stick with it forever. And I do feel like that's a little bit limiting in terms of what players can experience through the game. But also, I mean, the lower heats are more forgiving, so it's really play how you want. For me, I do feel that sometimes that can be a detriment to the overall experience, but not so much that I wouldn't use it myself, you know? And like, I've gone out of my way to try and be creative since I've gotten to the point of the game where I can be more casual and enjoy my time without feeling the pressure to guarantee a win, because I feel like the wins are relatively guaranteed as long as I play well. Ares as our final god. I have no strong opinion about what my final god should be. I'm set up for Sea Storm and Scintillating Feast. Ares isn't bad. Ares isn't amazing for this build. I mean, Artemis is always the default what I'll take, but why don't we just go ahead and take Ares here? Lock in our fourth god. I don't really have any plans for Ares, but we'll take him. And then we have our four gods locked in. Objectively speaking, Demeter would probably be fun with Icewine if we could get the combo of Scintillating Feast, Icewine. He doesn't really do anything to synergize amazingly well with Poseidon or this build that we're going down. But locking in our fourth god just makes it so fewer gods show up trying to offer us boons before Zeus and Poseidon. So it'll improve our shop RNG if nothing else, I would say. I feel like Razor Shoals is the bulk of our DPS, which is kind of a little bit sad, but also it's doing its job. I mean, when you think about it, when I use Ares Special on the Chaos Shield, which is a build I quite like, I guess I'm technically depending on Ares Curse damage from Doom rather than the special damage as well, so I guess this is at least roughly equivalent to the kind of runs we've had before. I would love a boon that extends the duration of Razor Shoals, but I feel like that would be objectively broken.
Hello, Lord Ares.
I've not seen ample blood spilled recently, so let's please make up for lost time.
Oh, trust me, Ares, I am going as fast as I can. It's just this build is very slow. We'll take his Curse of Agony. That'll give us a little bit of extra damage on the attack. And there is our first Zeus room. We are very gladly going to take that. Oh, but that Erebus Gate, I forgot I was supposed to be doing Erebus Gates. Oh well. Hindsight, you know. I see what I want. What I will argue is, in Tartarus in particular, or not Tartarus, in Asphodel, the chambers, I'm gonna miss this. The chambers tend to be painfully slow. Erebus, oh my goodness, starting over. Asphodel tends to be fairly short, and to maximize, if I'm gonna use Zeus's Keepsake, I need to make sure that I get a benefit from using Zeus's Keepsake and not having to bring it into Elysium, because we've seen a number of runs where I started with a Keepsake in Asphodel and ended up not taking that God's boon when it was showing up, and then I didn't get them at all. Wow, Scintillating Feast already. All right, well, I'll take it. That'll lock out the other duo when we're hunting for Zeus duos. Granted, there are a lot of Zeus boons that I want. Honestly, taking the double strike there may have been objectively the better option, but I think the biggest thing we're looking for right now is just an ability to get a second curse so we can get a status privilege going. That'll likely happen once we get jolted from Zeus, so that's probably the biggest boon we want at this stage, aside from Sea Storm. But Double Strike and Jolted are obviously just amazing boons, and either of them we will very gladly take when they are offered. Stationary enemies are very weak to Scintillating Feast, so I can just drop my Trippy Shot and let them die. Let that, what is it, it's called, Automaton. Let's see, what do we got? Ares or Coin? It looks like Ares is going to be showing up a lot, I get the feeling, which isn't ideal. Actually, I guess we do technically have a way of getting status privilege because we took his attack as long as I tag them with the attack. The issue is, I don't feel like Doom is a terribly reliable curse for getting status privilege going, at least until you get Impending Doom. Then it lasts long enough that it feels fairly reliable, and that's also limited to the nature of weapons that are kind of slower in their overall attack speed. A fast attacking weapon like the Rail or Chiron, you can pretty rapidly apply a debuff, or a curse rather, so you don't have to worry about the Doom wearing off. It'll be reapplied as soon as it falls off, is kind of how I view it. So in those instances, it's fine, but I guess Chiron kind of works in that regard, but we're depending on our attack to apply Doom, which is a lot less used in this sort of a build. Either way, what other mods are there? So I mentioned two, so I definitely look forward to kind of having control over some potential runs. There are some hammer combos that I really want to try. There is also just a mod that lets you choose which any boon, any hammer at any point in the run to give yourself, which will be fun. But honestly, I think the one that I'm looking forward to the most is going to be the mod that makes it so you can pick one boon at the start, and then every single chamber going forward is a palm. So you're basically picking one boon to lock yourself into and use exclusively for the rest of the run, and then that boon just scales out of control.
Come on now, boss. Let's get you moving here.
Like, I'm thinking about what boons that would be fun with. Let's see. So we'll take Hyper Sprint and see if we can set up for Rush Delivery later on. But I mean, Support Fire from Artemis sounds funny. I mean, imagine having 100% crit chance.
Lernie, hiss once if you think you're going to lose.
By stacking up pressure points. I mean, realistically speaking on that one, it's going to feel a little bit disappointing because unless you have really good base damage, critting without any other damage modifiers, save for maybe Chaos RNG, is going to be kind of rough. I imagine that would perform really well with like single hitting really powerful weapons like Hestia or Arthur. But I'm trying to think if there are any other weapons. I guess you could make an argument for Guan Yu since it has really good base damage, but I would argue similarly that it maybe won't do as much as I'd hope, since even then its base damage on the special alone is only 50, I believe. And I could be mixing that up with its damage when it has the Artemis special, since I remember those runs well enough. Trying to stay relatively close to Lernie to guarantee that he stays within Scintillating Feast, which he seems perfectly content in doing.
Come on, you flying bastard.
Doing my best not to get here. I'll save Antos for a different chamber. I don't think Antos is terribly effective against Lernie, and since it's not the Boldy that drops HP for us, there's no real reason to use him here, I suspect. I'm figuring if I drop Scintillating Feast, I can focus on a different head, but they're clumping together, which is quite nice for that, either way. There we go. All right, get ready to drop this right in the center. We'll go zooming by, pop that on, and our cast comes up often enough that I can pretty reliably get the Scintillating Feast going no matter where Lernie pops out to. One more hit and we should be good. And there we go. So yeah, I'm thinking what maxed out palm runs would be the most fun. Also, if anyone's listening and has any suggestions for either mods or custom runs, I'm certainly all ears for them. But I'm thinking certainly a maxed out, definitely a maxed out Support Fire run. I want to see how that goes. I'll probably take Aspect of Lucifer to activate it as quickly as possible. Who do we whose keepsake do we take now? I guess it doesn't terribly matter. Maybe I take the Chaos Egg. There's not a high likelihood that we see Chaos boons, but I mean, I don't really have much else that I want to take here, and we've got so much coin, the coin purse feels redundant and unnecessary. I'll take the Cosmic Egg. Let's see what we get. And I still don't need to sell anything. I've been doing so many. I've genuinely been doing so many 32 heat runs that I'm used to having to sell a boon for every floor. So I just check the Pool of Purging by default. Oh, you know what's gonna be a fun one? I think it's Engulfing Vortex, the one that makes your blade rifts last longer.
Must have it pretty good.
And let's see, Hermes. I'll take a Hermes. I've got plenty of HP. That makes your blade rifts last longer from Ares. And then you, I think it has a suction effect as well. Or alternatively, we just get the maximum size blade rifts possible. That just sounds really funny. And like if people are willing to humor me on this, like I would do just like have the build start and then just see where we scale from there. So like for that kind of build, maybe I give myself slicing shot, hunting blades, and Ares. I'll give myself the lowest tier slicing shot so we don't do damage. We just have really long lasting blade riffs just to see how it goes. Because it sounds funny and I want to see the funny. Like realistically speaking, it could in theory happen without the mods, but it's so much harder to get going, and without good RNG for a gimmick that isn't necessarily even a run winning gimmick. It just feels kind of.
Olympus, I accept this message.
I'm gonna roll for rush delivery. Come on, no such luck. All right, I'll take auto reload because we can be potentially set up for bad news later that way, which will work really well with Scintillating Feast. We'll take the palm here from Erebus. Elysian Erebus gates are usually pretty rough because they spawn butterfly balls, and those are just a nightmare to get no damage against.
Waiting for you, boy.
But we'll see what we get. Archers, even better. Archers and shielders who can shoot piercing shots. Yeah, but Elysian Erebus gates are so unbelievably difficult. That's why I barely, if ever, even bother taking them. Because you're fighting enhanced monsters, or enhanced enemies, on top of having the stipulation of not taking damage. It's better to take a guaranteed chamber that gives you what you could work with, rather than risking it, unless you're like really desperate for that item and the alternative isn't that appealing. But like, look at this, we're still going and we're having... The archers are definitely the worst part of this. Like, this chamber is made really bad by archers, so what I should have done is probably kite into a wall and then hold shield until I saw the archers gave me an opening. But shielders are really annoying because they have a piercing projectile. I don't know if it pierces through the shield, but it definitely pierces through walls, so I have to imagine that it might do that too. Like there you saw one fire off, it just went straight through a wall. It probably, realistically speaking, is blocked by the shield, but I don't know for sure. Okay, key for rerolls for sure here. Anyway, what else can I say? What else do I have to say here? The nice thing about archers with our build is that they do run a lot, so they're going to constantly be taking damage from Razor Shoals. Assuming our special bounces into them the way it should. Anyway, let's see. So what other mods? Or what other boons? So I've got Engulfing Vortex or Blade Rift. Those sound like fun. I guess I could go for a trippy shot build on Beowulf because I've mentioned this with the Beowulf runs. Trippy shot kind of scales incorrectly with palms on Beowulf, so every palm is effectively double what it says in terms of the modifier. So you could see some ridiculously huge numbers doing that, I imagine. Trippy shot alone isn't that exciting, but that could make it funny. What about cast? Are there any casts that would be really funny? Less so casts, more so cast stones, I guess. The more cast stones I get, the funnier it'll be, because I can just spam cast endlessly. But that is kind of, on its own, not necessarily that exciting. I guess with the aspect of Poseidon and maybe an Artemis cast, you could have fun.
That's one more.
What else? What else indeed? All right, a Dionysus boon. We already got Scintillating Feast. I'm going to take the shop here and hope that a Zeus or a Poseidon shows up. That higher tier Poseidon or Dionysus isn't unappealing, but you know what is unappealing? Ares showing up in literally every room.
Strength.
I'll go ahead and toss this on Trippy Shot. I think we're getting more damage from that. And then once again, a mini boss with Dionysus versus a hammer. I haven't even gotten one hammer this run. Let's go for that. Like, this is gonna be the classic talk about Sea Storm, doesn't get Sea Storm. Frankly, we don't need it. Like, our damage is good enough. We're slow, but we have a 9-minute tight deadline, which is an extraordinarily forgiving. Let's see. What else is there? I'm trying to think what other mods I read about, because I've only got a limited recollection of them. I didn't explore too heavily. I was using, what is it? I don't even remember the name of the site, because like I've never actually modded a game. So one thing I'll have to make sure is that I make a good solid backup of this of my save files before I even risk modding, because who knows what's going to happen if I don't. Realistically speaking, I imagine the mods have been used enough that they're stable, but certainly don't want to risk the progress that we've made if I can avoid it. Let's see. What other boons? What other boons would be really fun? I mean, just I guess stacking. So Hermes boons can't get palmed, but I was thinking like, is there a way to stack move speed or dodge chance? Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there is, other than just getting the right boons at the right time. or just stacking up Lambent Plume to infinity, which could happen in the Climb of Sisyphus. Like the two best options would either be Pierce Butterfly for the infinite scaling damage it could give us. Let's see, Charge Shot, Explosive Return, or Dashing Wallop. I'll take Explosive Return. I feel like that synergizes pretty well. Now every time our special returns to us, we do 50 damage in an AoE. We'll take the Palm here and try and get it on Razor Shoals, or I guess Razor Shoals? I don't really know what my best option is here. I guess the attack for a little bit of extra Doom damage isn't a wrong choice, but I'm not really depending on the attack too greatly beyond charging up for my enhanced special, so I don't think I'll go that route. Similar concept to Impending Doom, kind of does the same thing between Impending Doom and the attack boon. Both kind of up our overall damage on the attack, which I guess I am using a fair bit looking at how this is going. I don't know. Should definitely be dropping Scintillating Feast when I can. Ooh, just barely stopped that one from rezzing. Cool. And we palm... Out of all of these, I'm going to palm the special. The special is just more fun. Let's see. There's a Poseidon. Excellent. Finally, a Poseidon shows up. We have not seen much in the way of Poseidon. We've only gotten 2 boons from him so far, I'm pretty sure. It's mostly been Dionysus and Ares who have been trying to compete for our attention, which is unfortunate given they were not the gods that I entered this run with in mind. Anyway, let's see. What other boons? I'm trying to think. Like, does Zeus have any fun ones? I mean, a Billowing Strength, or no, maybe a Zeus Call build would be funny if we got Smoldering Air to go alongside with it. That doesn't sound too exciting. I mean, the obvious winners are definitely going to be... Oh, you know what might be fun if I go for I go for the Billiards build again, either with Hestia or one of the spears, but probably Hestia would be the best option. We only line up shots and try to knock enemies into each other, and then get a only palm, what is it, Breaking Wave or Typhoon's Fury. I guess it would be probably Breaking Wave, but slamming foes into each other causes that to trigger. And we try to play billiards. We make foes line up with each other and then launch them into each other using a Poseidon enhanced attack on Hestia. That could be pretty silly. Wave Pounding. I guess we'll take Wave Pounding. Extra damage against bosses isn't bad. Would have loved to see literally any of his other boons, aside from the ones we were offered, unfortunately. And he offered us a trade of all things, too. Nothing here I'm interested in. Our Patroclus Chamber or a Palm. Honestly, I'm kind of enticed by the Palm. Patroclus doesn't offer much, but we might get custom dialogue for bringing Antos with us, so I want to see what that does.
Always the stubbornness. Well, fine. Have it your way.
All right, no new dialogue, sadly.
You'll show that champion of ours, won't you, Strange?
I guess I'll take Cyclops Jerky Select. I'm really not using the... you know what? I'll take Hydrolite Gold. I'll take the free HP. We're basically going to be at full HP for the rest of the run. And then there's our final shop or a hammer. I'll take the shop again. I'm more interested in Zeus and Poseidon than I'm interested in a hammer. And it's Ares again, because of course it's Ares again. How many Ares boons do we have now? How many times has Ares shown up? Getting a palm on Razor Shoals, not bad. All right, Ares, what have you got? Nothing terribly exciting here. Of our options, I guess I'll take Curse of Vengeance. Not that I'm going to be using it much, but oh well. A very strong ho-hum, oh well sort of situation here.
Our sworn enemy. You return at your peril, Hellspawn. You'll get no quarter here.
Give me a dime then. Ha ha ha! I made the joke again. Woohoo! I'm a little salty that Ares is just being this spammy. Honestly, I think I'm just going to take out Theseus first. Honestly, they both are fairly easy to deal with. My shield hadn't returned in time to block that, otherwise I would have. Oh, hi, Bull. Oh, hi, Bull. Yeah. I guess that's on me for saying I'm not going to use Curse of Vengeance that often, and then I'm immediately just taking all of the hits. If I can at least keep them tagged with Razor Shoals at all times, they'll kind of do their own... They'll knock themselves out in the process of just doing their normal patterns. I'm gonna try and use Antos to finish off Theseus. There we go. Beautiful. And I think we've... What? Oh, okay. I'm like, Theseus is dead, but he apparently had some commentary to say about Theseus showing up. Or Achilles, rather. Why did I just say Theseus there? Whatever. I think we can kill the bull without using up a Death Defiance as long as they play smart. Basically, I just bull rush past him. I just need to be careful because I'm trying to charge up bull rush before I have my shields return, and that can be a problem. But like, look at this. Easy peasy. It's more an issue when there are two of them. I think that makes sense. I mean, that's why Extreme Measures 4 Phase 1 is so rough. They're just, you're contending with multiple mini-bosses on top of Hades. Makes it very rough. But we're moving along steadily enough.
Thwarted the champion.
Still no Sea Storm, sadly. I'll go ahead and buy this. Just need to remember to use it on Hades and see what he says. I don't need HP, I don't need damage from behind, so we'll sit on that, save our rerolls for potentially things, and not surprising, but we didn't use the Cosmic Egg at all. Chaos Gates don't show up and stick, so that was a wasted keepsake. Oh well. Could take Sigil of the Dead to lock out God's Offering calls, but then I could get some boons from Zeus that I'm not terribly interested in. I think, honestly, it doesn't terribly matter what I take here, so why don't we just take the Acorn in typical fashion. It'll keep us alive. It'll block some damage from Hades. We don't have Extreme Measures 4 on, so I really don't need it. But it just makes the Hades fight that much safer. I'm plowing through the gods and trying to figure out who would be fun for a gimmick build. I guess just getting as stacked a cast on Hera or Beowulf would just be fun to see really big numbers. Trippy Shot again probably being the winner, but Crush Shot could be pretty solid on Hera. I'm trying to think what else could work. Oh, of course, there's Ares. Okay, we got a...
Which one first?
All right, we did get at least 2 chances at a Zeus duo with Poseidon, and Zeus is the god we care about most. What it does mean is, though, that we won't be able to get both Double Strike and Jolted, and that's assuming we do get Sea Storm. I'm gonna go ahead and buy this now, though, and there's Sea Storm, so that's a good start.
Thunder time.
We'll buy Hermes next. Bad news is very good news. 50% overall damage. I know it says when you don't have a cast, or it only affects the cast, but it turns out it affects everything. So just spam your cast and you're good. Let's see. I'll go for... Honestly, I'm just going to take the God Rooms, I think. Yeah, I'll have longer chambers, but we have good AoE damage. We've always had good AoE damage with a Chaos Shield boon, but it's just even more the case now that we have Sea Storm. Like, our shields just bounce around and burst everything. I think out of the 2 boons I could stand to gain, I think Jolted will offer us the most DPS overall, so that's the one I'm going to go for. Granted, Double Strike does benefit Scintillating Feast as well, so maybe I'm mistaken about that, but I mean, look at that damage. It looks like I'm fairly convinced that Sea Storm was the missing link to our overall DPS situation. In typical fashion, we don't see our duo boon until Styx, which I think is fairly common Hades experience, to be honest, so I shouldn't complain too much about it. The runs where you get a Tartarus duo boon just feel so incredible, you know? It doesn't happen often enough, but when it does happen, it feels great. I don't know, I'm running out of options to consider, or that I can easily consider while also focusing on the run. I guess, one of the things Kiwi has requested is me to do like a tier list of all of the boons, so she can kind of have the names and the symbols put together so she can better understand why I get excited about some boons and disappointed about others. And so I was thinking about kind of doing a side-by-side comparison of boons in terms of what's fun, what's not fun, as well as what I think are among the best boons. So like a tier list for viability, but a tier list for fun potential as well. I haven't... That's probably something I'll script to some degree.
I accept this message.
Vengeful Mood. Not interested. Static Discharge, please. I forgot I had a Vengeance boon. I have Curse of Vengeance. Completely disinterested in that boon, though. I'll sit on this coin and probably take that Ares boon. Let's go for the Ares Gate here. If we do get a 3-chamber Styx, I'll go for the Hammer next, since it doesn't hurt to get the Hammer. I don't really need anything from those mini-boss chambers. They're faster, but we have 11 minutes on the clock for a Extreme Measures 3 fight, so I think I can afford to be a little bit
It's no use.
lackadaisical here, I suppose. But it feels like our damage has officially come online. It took forever to get there, and unfortunately that made for a slower than average run overall, especially Tartarus. Tartarus with that Charon fight was so rough. But like I said, I had every confidence that Charon would be the hardest part of this run, and I was not wrong.
No way.
Anyway, gosh, what other boons could work? I'm pausing for thought. I feel like casts overall are just gonna be the funniest because they have the most potential for some insanity. Ooh, you know what? Ares cast enhanced on Beowulf would be really fun because it already makes it larger. Imagine if I just used Beowulf and then got the AoE enhancement to infinity. That would just be a room-wide Blade Rift. I think that would be pretty funny. Sounds like Beowulf and Hera are just gonna have some really fun builds for the infinite palming sort of build that I'm talking about. Beyond that, I guess, oh, you know what? Obviously, I can't believe I didn't think about this. Crystal Embrace plus Glacial Glare Infinite Palms. Like, I don't know if the mod will let you work, will work without getting, with 2 boons, but I guess I could just use the mod to guarantee I get,
Quite enough here, thanks.
Crystal Beam and then get a high tier Glacial Glare and then just do a run where I see what is the most insane potential Crystal Beam can have. Honestly, at this point, I'll take Vengeful Mood. It does next to nothing for us because we only have 1 Vengeance Boon, but I can play around it gimmick-wise if I want to. We are getting the 3-chamber stick, so I'll go for the hammer here. There aren't really many hammers that I like. The shield is one of the weapons where I don't feel that excited by its hammers. It has some decent options, but nothing really shines to me in a way that I'm like, oh, this is triple shot. Oh, this is double shot. Oh, this is point blank shot. Oh, this is enhanced power shot like the bow, or all of, oh my goodness, the rail and the twin fists have some extremely incredible. You know what? I'm gonna drop this because I forgot to that we bought an extra use.
No use.
Okay, there's our codex updated. So we have used Antos enough to finish his codex entry. Excellent. Anyway, I just completely lost my train of thought there. Wow. Sudden rush, dashing flight. I guess during your dash, your special is faster and deals 200% damage. I guess we'll take that.
A special treat for
That one just seems hard to reliably pull off, but it's our best answer to using our special anyway, so just need to get used to doing a dash into a special. I've probably been doing it some amount already. We'll level up Static Discharge because that does a ton of damage for us.
Cerberus moves for no one, but for Satasax, he can make an exception.
Alright, Serby, thanks for being a good boy. See you later, bud.
Thanks, boy.
Bud. I guess, you know what, any Dionysus build where we just stack Hangover to Oblivion would be pretty funny. Make his dash work as it for a change. Could do a dash only run, but we only get palms on the dash.
Untold murderous wretches in my realm, all at my beck and call, yet still you made it here.
That's the me, Zagreus. Alright, so I need to remember to drop Scintillating Feast and try and use my special during a dash if I can. The muscle memory isn't quite set in on that, but I can make it work. We definitely seem to have very solid damage, if nothing else. I just get that Draken pop as soon as possible so it's not spamming projectiles. I think I'm at a loss at other options, but like I said in earlier, like I every now and again ask for comments. I overall try to avoid doing so because again, I'm not like seeking active engagement on this channel. Its purpose is to help people fall asleep, so that's hard to engage with in the first place. Was that our first hit that we took? It was our first hit that we took this entire fight. Wow. I like having ideas, and it's fun to have a dialogue with other people. We get to, I mean, one of my favorite comments are things where we share ideas and recommendations, and so I always appreciate those when they come in.
That does it.
So, like, again, if you have any fun ideas of things that you'd want to see, like, what would happen if we just built endlessly into this one idea? I'm very open to it. Again, I don't fully understand how these mods work, so I may be misspeaking about what we can actually potentially do, but I certainly want to give it a try and find out. And it doesn't hurt to theory craft silly ideas, even if they can't work. At least we thought about them, you know? Alright, let's get the finish with Achilles, if we can. Although he might die to status damage if I'm not careful. So let's go ahead and drop Achilles in a second. All right. I don't know if he has about 3,000 HP, but Vengeful Mood could kill him. So I'm gonna go ahead and just. Oh, wow, he had a lot less HP than I thought.
Godspeed.
You tell no one at the house. Do you hear me?
I heard nothing. I will tell everyone.
Take me home.
There we go. A filthy casual 25 heat run. Took whatever the game gave us and not complaining about it too badly. We got a pretty solid build, all things considered. Bad news, did a ton of extra damage. Vengeful Mood, get the heck out of here. You did nothing. Let's see, Sea Storm, and I should honor the special. So I think I'll let go of Razor Shoals, even though I do think that was a huge part of our damage. I think that makes sense. There we go. That looks pretty fun. Not necessarily cosmetically appealing. I could definitely do something to make this look a little bit better, but oh well. With all that said, 140 win streak. Awesome. Nice round number. But yeah, if you have any really fun ideas, any boons you want to see brought to their epitome of strength and not much else to synergize with, although I might take some tier 2s just to make the run a little bit more fun, let me know.
Another bass,
but I definitely need to see how crazy we can get with Crystal Beam. The only downside to that is I don't know if I can take Chaos Gate, so I wouldn't get cast gems up.
Did Zagreus attempt to gain the surface that way? He just rose too quickly, and we know how that one goes from Icarus's tale.
All right, let's do our house roundup and call it an episode. Kiwi, let me know if you have any good ideas too. Obviously, you're the one who comments the most on these videos, just not on YouTube so much as in real life.
Welcome to the House of Hades. Just come on in.
Alrighty. Oh, new dialogue with, I guess this is where we're gonna get our Antos dialogue.
Achilles, sir, I have a very important question. Why do you detest onions so much? Have they wronged you somehow?
This is a bit of Greek mythology, if it actually is Greek mythology, that I have no understanding of. I've always wondered about the nature of red onions showing up in Erebus as like the penalty for losing.
As soon as you slice into one of those things, it makes you cry. Don't you find that a bit unsettling, lad? I won't shed tears over a cut-up vegetable.
Well, apparently they're pretty tasty if you don't eat them raw.
They are very tasty.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Onions and garlic make their way into pretty much every dish that Kiwi and I cook.
You can count on me, Your Highness.
They just add a lovely flavor. I love my alliums.
Time that I headed up to Mount Olympus, though you keep an eye on things till I get back.
I guess that was maybe a comment because we've completed the codex entry for red onions.
Terrifying Cerberus is busy gathering his strength for when next he shall bar the prince's path.
Always have more pets for the greatest boy.
He is the greatest boy. The greatest big boy, the bestest of big boys, the best. I wish I knew a giant dog that I could just pet like that. That would be so fun.
As you can see, I must attend to all this parchment work.
I don't want to own a dog that big. I feel like their medical bills and their food expenses must be exorbitant.
This is a favorite song of mine. And perhaps yours?
Not to mention the,
Orpheus made the board.
I mean, big dogs, I mean, I imagine they must be a lot of fun to own. I just, if they ever got sick to the point they need assistance and you have to carry them, I would throw out my back in a second. I don't think it's feasible from a number of standpoints. Like, as much as I'd love to have a big dog, I feel like I would settle for like a smaller average sized golden retriever as my largest dog I ever own. I want to get that out of my system, but I already think I do unfortunately believe that my back is my back and my knees are far gone past the point of being able to own one and take care of it reasonably well. Alrighty. We've got our next weapon. Let's go for an Aspect of Lucifer run, and I have a silly gimmick I'm gonna go for. We'll see how it works. But we're gonna do another Lasers of Love build. Or maybe I'll go Demeter. Honestly, maybe I'm thinking either Lasers of Love or freezing, a freezing build where we get the Frost Burst or whatever it is that explodes AoE when they get 10 stacks of chilled. We'll see. We will see. But with all that said, Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you're awake, I hope this is helping you fall asleep. If you're sleeping, I hope you're sleeping well.
Can't do that.
I love you, and in the next one, more Hades 1 fun. Until then, sleep well. I'll see you soon.
Femur.